Hi, everybody. It is Rose Faraci, and yes, it is me and Theresa LePre again. It's a reunion. We haven't done a video for I think it's been about a year and a half at least, over a year and a half, almost two, because it's been about a year and a half since I've been back from the islands, and we did our last video like a few months before that, before I even left for the islands. And so, but yeah, it's been quite a while, and it feels so good. It feels so natural, as if we just picked up from yesterday, to be sitting here talking and to be able to sit here and do a video after for so long. And I know that the audience that followed us, we had a weekly video that we did a while back, and it's still on my YouTube channel. You can still go back and watch them all. And we had a following. We had a lot of viewers, and I know that some of them had actually written the both of us and were excited about us doing one again. So and you know what, there's gonna be more to come. So but we have a lot to talk about, Theresa and I. So much has happened in the time that that we went on to our own projects, and we're doing some different things. And so we're going to talk about that today, and then we're going to talk about other things that are going on today. So we had a great discussion before we went live, so we're going to probably integrate that pretty soon. So Theresa, how are you, sweetheart?
Hello, how are you, Rose? I'm so excited to be sitting here with you, and you're right. And it's been almost 2 years since our last video, and a lot has happened in that time frame, especially with the work I do and the work others are doing, and integrating and coming together as a collective, but maintaining the individuality of self as we go through the process. And it's interesting because you mentioned to me about getting in touch with the divine masculine, feminine, and integrating it. And in the last year and a half, I've been also doing a lot of work about the divine feminine, but going a step further and going deep within the caravans of my own mind to explore the spiritual aspects of this. And I have come up with very interesting insights from experimenting and experiencing, which I will be sharing in 2016. Some might be a little controversial at first, but when you actually make out the whole parable, you could see how relevant it is for the individual and coming together as a collective, and the intelligence that's behind it. Because I can't stress enough the intelligence that one must exercise when they are going into a higher state of consciousness. Even if it makes sense to no one but you have to be able then to filter it and decipher it where you apply it, and you could articulate it. So that's been happening with me. And I actually would like to talk a little bit more about that, because although our umbrella comes under many facets, and some of us do many different types of individual work, you are absolutely on point when you said, how do we collectively come together and design our ideas and intelligence where it makes sense, and we're not kooky, but we're living a life? Because I think that's something that people should be aware of. Like anything else in spirituality, you will have to discern for yourself the difference between being scammed and a way of life that you choose to live.
Exactly. There's so much going on, and the purpose of my doing all these videos with these great people like yourself, and and the people I've done so far, and I've got a few more coming, is that we each have our own gifts, and we have our own talents, and that we are all doing similar work but different. And but we are to come together. This is the purpose of all of this, of raising consciousness and raising the vibration of all humanity, and anchoring light, and helping and assisting for humanity's highest good. while here for the whole universe. That we all come together in unity as one consciousness, that we work together. This is about working together. No more separation. We've got enough of that going on in the third dimensional world with people, fighting and arguing and wars and, hatred. And, there's enough of that. So it's time, even, for light workers to step it up, to come forth together in unison and stop the separation among ourselves, and there is so much going on all around the world right now, spiritually, on the spiritual level, that there's we were talking about grids opening and portals opening all around, and it's happening everywhere. And I've had people asking me very similar questions about what's happening in their area. They're saying, what's with, and I'll use this as an example, what is with, the Native American energy that I'm feeling suddenly? And some people are saying they're actually seeing, a native, what they say, native spirits, or, a lot of them are seeing a chief, standing on one of their mountains or hilltops, or, and that's amazing, because there is something going on there. There's an ancient energy there that we see things as we are, so people are interpreting it as where they're at spiritually. So, but it's a beautiful thing. But there is an ancient energy reemerging, reawakening up here in the northern lands, in the Western culture here, up in Canada and US, and especially here in the area where I'm at, where I'm back at home here in the Midwest. And but it's ancient, it's extremely old. And it's, from what I've been shown, a lot of these, ancient beings knew and saw what was coming, and they actually protected or covered or sheltered the earth, the land, until the time was right to reopen these portals and gateways. And it is happening, and it's part of what's going on. It's part of the paradigm. It's actually very exciting and very powerful. So grids are happening, opening everywhere, and I'm feeling them in Europe. And we were talking about Europe. I've been seeing or feeling, the sense in Spain and France opening up, grids out there opening up. I've been feeling it. It's been happening for a while now, but more powerfully so in Ireland and all over the US and Canada. And so this is very exciting for all of us to be seeing and sensing and feeling. And so great things are happening, and great things have been happening, during the time since the last time that Theresa and I did our last video. And so much has happened, even within our own work that we've been doing. Theresa's been busy doing some workshops and stuff. And I am getting ready to, I'm putting out my second book, but see, so much has changed since my first book.
Yes.
So much has changed since my first book that my original intent for the second book is now different too. So
yes.
Go ahead, talk more about that, because I know on your end it's this.
I want to point out, it's very interesting that you brought up the points that we are speaking about, because I want to touch on a few of those points. One of them is living in awareness and what that actually means. So in my research and in my observations of how things were unfolding, I wanted to go further, because I have this belief. It's a simple belief, and it's my belief that allows me to dig deeper into myself. Because I am this type of a person. Books won't do it for me. Not 100%, even my own books. I put them out there for guidance and inspiration, but I do expect the individual to digger for their own wisdom. And what is this unconditional love that everybody throws around but cannot seem to obtain or hold the divine masculine that goes along with it? Because we get off on a tangent, and it's quite interesting when you're unfolding or you're watching other people or unfold and you're evolving. When people first introduced twin flame relationships or unconditional love and the sexuality that is programmed and the key factor to bring the divine power within us, they went off on a tangent because it's not a helly hole to turn around and to exploit your sexuality. It's to empower through sexuality, but how do you merge the divine feminine of two individuals that are seeking to find this way? So I did a lot, and it took me back to the Kabbalah, which is in all of ancient wisdom, it's the basis, and creation and unconditional love, because obviously we don't feel the same way. There's different types of love, and you can't love everything, and it's not wrong to have dislikes. So how do we turn around and live in this world where there are polarities, but bridge our human essence with our divine nature, and where the Elohim, who is the masculine form, is really merged with the feminine form, because they're one of the same. And I found that for this inner peace to happen, even if you're walking among chaos, you have to go in and you have to find the facets of unconditional love. And that's really based on a mutuality of trust, respect for one another. It doesn't mean you don't disagree, because of course we cannot all feel the same way. We're unique individuals finding our divine guidance and collectively coming together to unify. But we must address that as human beings stuck in a 3D world, and I'll use that for general terminology, that we made a choice to experience good and evil. And instead of looking outside to push the blame, we now, as spiritual explorers, decide to go inside. And as we go inside, we understand the divine feminine. We understand sexuality is a part of it. But now, how did it get so chaotic? We did that. Human beings did that because we severed the bridge of our divine nature to go and become gods with no guidelines. And that's where the fear, the greed, the corruption, and all those things that fall under that headed come from. So how do we bridge that? And that comes within the individual, because now we have to know and we have to make choices, because if we go back, we weren't X'd out of that lifestyle. It's available to us, but we have to seek it to find it and understand it. And then when that happens, there is an inner peace that comes to you. There is this Zen. You could actually have 100 things going on and not have to like the outcome of all of them, but realistically, for your reality, live a peaceful lifestyle. That doesn't mean you have to like everything. That doesn't mean that you're not direct. That doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. It means that you have an understanding now that is cohesive with your fellow human partner, whether that is a friend, a lover, someone passing through, and you use the guidance and the intelligence to take it a step further. So it's very interesting that although we've been apart and our facets are under a different umbrella, it's unifying and coming together in the same mindset to take a step further. Because the daily stuff we got to live. You're going to get mad at days. You're going to go through challenges. You know, you're going to laugh. You're going to cry. You're going to share all that. But if you don't have the trust enough to open up and explore it, then the wall comes. So that's really where my research is taking me. And it's very interesting because in our community, I think lots of things need to be said, and there is no shame because we're saying it in private anyway. So why not say it to the mass population?
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the inner work that we're all doing, that there is so much that we're all doing at the same time that we don't realize that other people are experiencing these same things. And a lot of people are afraid to talk about it because they don't understand it themselves, and they're going to feel like they're out there. And you're not out there. If you are, then we all are. We're all mad here, so that's okay. You know, you're familiar, and we know you. And
we're all a little damaged.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. It's about it's the inner work, the integration of all of these things, these aspects about ourselves, because really the separation starts within us. We're so separated inside. Yes. And we find ourselves fragmented. So therefore, then we kind of pay it forward outwardly, and we see nothing but outward chaos and outward separation. When we see things as we are, I say that a lot, but we see things in separation, and there's the outward duality, the outward fighting, and inequality spiritually happening on the outside, manifesting in the physical. So what we're seeing happening out there is actually what a lot of it's going on within us. It's the world is our reflection, and it is an aspect of us. So if we're not liking what we're seeing, this is where it starts. This is where we begin to change that and start to unify and integrate and to become whole again. And there is so much that we don't understand, or a lot of people don't realize, I should say, that it all is starting with you. It's all about you. Yes, it is all about you, because the way you see the world and what you're seeing happening around the world is an aspect of what's happening with you internally anyway. So when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. To good old Wayne Dyer, and who is continuing his work where he's at now. He's not resting at all, believe me. And he's got a good point there, though. That was probably the most profound thing that I've read in his books, and it is so true and so powerful. So when we start to do the work within us, then when we see things how we are, excuse me, then we start to see things differently. Our perspective changes, and our perception changes. And if our perspective and our perception change on ourselves when we look at ourselves in the mirror every day, then it changes around us too. We start seeing things outside ourselves differently as well, and that does change. So if we start to love ourselves more, we start to integrate more and stop the inner separation that's going on, the dualities. We start working on those and doing that inner work and loving ourselves, honoring ourselves, respecting ourselves, and knowing our self-worth, then it starts to reflect on the outside. People start treating us differently, and we end up bringing forth new people that treat us in that same way, that same respect. They honor us and see value in us and love us unconditionally, and so forth. And we are granted favor, in all the realms of our world, and things start to fall into place. We start to finally start seeing our heart's desires manifesting before us. And then we realize that the magic starts from within, and that then we see how powerful we are as the sole creator of our own reality. And so this is very, very important for that. Theresa and I are actually bringing this up because it is more crucial now than ever that people realize this, and that people understand how powerful we are, and integrating these things and doing our inner work, and starting with us, and starting to see it manifest all around us, and seeing how it affects us all as a collective. this is how powerful we are, and this is the power that we have been granted. Once again, we are not powerless. We are limitless beings. So, what do you say about that?
When I speak of my own experiences, and in my experience over the last, I'm going to say 8 months, the more I realized that I was responsible within to confront fears, control desires, why certain fears that I buried affected present day life, and coming to terms within myself that that wasn't going to serve me any longer, the shedding comes more naturally. It didn't matter because I'm a very candid individual, and it doesn't matter that those closest around me, they know how I live my life. I'm not here to exploit that because we all have personal life. So I never take the personal aspects of my daily life and turn it into a public spectacle. I'm just not that type of an individual. However, those closest around me, they know how I live my life, and we have an understanding. So the more I begin to understand my own self, judgment is not even a word that I would consider using, because there's a difference now between judgment and saying what you feel, but not in an open dialogue, and living. Does that make sense to you? I don't know.
Yeah,
No.
it is. I think it is speaking your own truth and speaking and from the different perspective. Without the. Go ahead.
Yes, it comes from the core. So I think, and I just use the word judgment, but it applies to everything. It applies to love. It applies to compassion. These things, then these conditions begin to fall away from you, and this trust starts to happen within, and you automatically know what you have to do. Because people say, well, when this happens, that's going to happen. And I have found the best way to observe is to look at someone's actions, because I have the greatest privilege of communicating with people from all walks of life, and you begin to have this internal clock go off in you or start to tick in you, that your intuition automatically kicks in, and you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you know how to walk, you know how to hold your head in dignity, you know how to laugh, you know how to cry, and you know how to be complete within yourself. And when you are complete within yourself and you give freely, then you begin to understand a divine bridge, because you can't use this magic for self-gain. And I'll only use the word magic because people understand that that's something that changes you. Transformation. You can't use it. You can't preach that you're connecting with your inner self, or you're connecting in another dimension, and then as soon as something is disagreeable to you, you're on a no-fly zone and you're ready to condemn someone. People have differences. They have different ways of doing things. But when this goes off in you, you are absolutely ready to handle what comes your way. And you do it in a loving manner. It's a direct manner, and it's something with intelligence. And if you become direct and people don't like that, then that's something we have to bridge too, because my directness does not mean that I disrespect your views. It means that this is just a different way of getting there. And why do we have to constantly have a debate about what's right or wrong, because we all carry the good and bad in us. So these are things now that go with the divine feminine, to balance and to merge, and to really say, this is going on, we have choices to make. Let's stop blaming our government, although they're influences. Let's stop blaming the people around us. Let's stop blaming the tree that didn't blossom the way I wanted to, and let's take ownership for ourselves so we can collectively come together and take ownership back of whatever the goal is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's a matter of whether it's becoming the observer and observing from higher perspective and making a choice to react or respond, and observing others, around us. It's a teaching tool, and it's about, not judging their actions or anything like that either. It is just about how if we learn about each other, we learn more about ourselves by actually observing the world around us. And it is still the inner work that we do. It all comes right back to us when we are observing the people in the world around us and all the things going on. So then we get to choose whether or not we want to react or respond. But if we become the observer and we're observing from higher perspective, then we become the responder. It happens naturally, and it's about standing in your truth and believing, or knowing, I should say. I've been trying to use that word a lot less. I've been trying to say, you got to be in the knowing of who you are, and knowing that your truth is your truth, and it doesn't have to meld or be in agreement with another's. Their truth is their truth because it is their life path, and it is the experiences that they are having for their highest good. And we do have to honor that. And kind of, for lack of better words, we have to basically take care of our own backyard. And
absolutely.
Not worry so much about what is happening, in somebody else's backyard. And when we take care of ourselves, then it affects everyone else that higher aspect, that higher perspective. And this is where we anchor light, and this is where we meld together and we become one, because we honor each other and we love each other as well. Because if we would like to receive that love and honor from others, we have to have that love and honor for ourselves. So we have to be able to receive as much as we give, and is actually something that it's a flow that must be very steady and very consistent within us, that we cannot deplete ourselves by giving, or we cannot be the energy vampires and just take and take and take. And we have to be able to center and integrate that as well, and balance that. So this world, everything is connected, and this has probably been the one point that has come across in all the videos I've been doing this month, is that everything is connected. Mind, body, and spirit is connected, but we are connected to each other. So what I do or say will affect another and affect several others after that. It is reaching the masses. When we go into the grocery store, and we can either make or break that cashier's day. Absolutely. And we can choose, because we know better, we can choose to allow that cashier to make or break our day. And it's passed on. It's very contagious. It's a consciousness. It's an energy. And so if we make or break her day, she's going to in turn take what we left her with, and she's going to make or break several people's day. And then it goes on from there and on from there. And we don't realize how many we reach, how far our own actions and our own energy goes by those little things. We take those things for granted. We take for granted that is how powerful that we are.
You know what I found, Rose, in my research? I found that it is one of the most courageous things to do And it's not for the faint of heart to step into the facets of unconditional love. For me, it's built on trust and a mutuality of respect. And it's not built on outcome. The experience of the interchange is really what it's all about. And you're right. You could have a contagious effect, whether that be positive or negative. And I think one of the things that I am coming to see, especially in higher awareness, is that people are beginning to get this key, so to speak, because it is such a vulnerability. And people are afraid of the word vulnerability because they think they're going to be scammed out of their heart. But vulnerability allows you the experience to feel from within and to take a divine step towards evolving. And you are so right, because we have continuously evolving. Every day. When you live in divine consciousness, divine awareness, that's not something that you shut off. It affects everything that you do. And you are able to see with more clarity. And again, I think why people turn, usually there's a few reasons why people turn to spirituality. One is because they're unhappy within themselves and they're trying to find a different way, or they're looking for an instantaneous fix or abundance in the material sense that gets them confused, and then they get to find out what the ancient land is all about, and they can't do it because it's too much work. Because once I exercise this unconditional love, I am opening myself up to many possibilities, and some might not turn out the way you anticipate. So do you break down the wall, or do you gain understanding and then continue on? So I made the choice to continue on because it wasn't enough for me personally to not feel. I had to feel it. I had to go in search for it, because certain things, I have, my gift of clairvoyancy is a knowing that comes to me. And I know, and I could articulate, and I could channel. I have other spiritual gifted people that I do work with. Their gifts are quite different than mine. They might interpret dreams, they might see apparitions, but none of it will ever do humanity good if you take the gift and distort it. Because yes, that is where your good and evil comes in. People distort it. They distort what's within themselves, and they bring chaos to everything is around them. So it's really something that you choose. And then, like you say, it collectively falls into place. Because I am very, like I keep reiterating this, I have opinions, I have feelings, I have needs, I have things that I like and I don't like. However, I respect and I live my life, and I'm not intrusive to anybody else. And when you come across, you're going to come across all kinds of people. You're going to come across people who are very nice, and you're going to come across some people that aren't. It's up to you to discern between master manipulation and what is real, and then to exercise it. And I think once people get a clearer picture of what the spiritual journey is about, then they could say, okay, I'm on board, because this is about me. Can I do this? And that's really a question that only the individual could answer. What's your take on that?
That is, you know, the essence of our light and shadow side. And we can do the, you know, I'm going to use the same term that a friend had used when we did our video last Wednesday, but he said, that we can take, you know, the lighter shadow side or the feminine or masculine energies within us and to the external extreme, and it can be more sabotaging to us than anything else. And but again, it is for our own personal experiences too. And but when we actually recognize it for how powerful it is, and we actually because there's different levels of all these, and so the light and shadow, it's it's a beautiful thing regardless. And I don't use the words, you know, that bring instill fear or anything like that with it. I just call it light and shadow, and that we could use it to the external extreme and sabotage ourselves and teach ourselves some good lessons, or we can go within and utilize the masculine and feminine for what it's really meant, and integrate those two within us, and utilize those energies for their true purposes, which is, you know, masculine is about discernment, and it's about strength, and it's about wisdom, and the feminine is about intuition and spiritual connectedness, and creativity of life and art and magic and nurturing and understanding, things like that. So we can take those and turn them into the light and shadow parts, you know, and into the external extremes. And we could be, you know, hating the feminine energies and thinking it's just too weak. You know, the vulnerability is a weak word, and it's not, but just using it as an example. And, you know, that the masculine is just too controlling, and it's too much of the logical and so disconnected spiritually or what have you. So there's a lot that of how we interpret things. Of course, again, I'll say it again, we see things as we are. And so if we interpret these energies within us as the external extremes, then we have a lot of inner work that we should be doing. But again, it's your experiences. But this is a beautiful thing. We have to change that perspective of it all and understand that it is a beautiful part of this humanity, this human experience we're having. So many people here are saying, I don't know what my place in this world is. I don't know what my calling is. Or you don't have to. Sometimes it is just to be here and just have this human experience. That's what it's about. We came here to have this human experience, and it's not about going out and, you know, choosing a path of going out and saving the world and, you know, becoming a superhuman being or anything like that. It is just simply a being, and simply, you know, having this experience and just be. And then the things start to happen, then the magic starts to happen. And then and many people will realize that they are meant to do much bigger things. Well, I don't want, you know, not that what they're doing already is not something big. Everyone here is doing something amazing. Everyone, whether you, go ahead.
That's a good point. I think that you hit it right on the head. Don't worry about what anybody else contributes, because we all contribute in this garden differently. Whatever your contribution is really the part of life that you're living. But when you're doing it from a space that is authentic, any challenge that comes along your way, and any caste system or social ladder that you might be involved with, you will be able to handle yourself in a poised manner. Because I'll use the word poised because you are working phonetically within. And that really is something that people have to get straight. Work phonetically within yourself. Nobody has to do it alone. Do not be like me who does baptism by fire. That's just my nature, okay? However, I am able to take that and utilize it and be a stream of inspiration, because that's my divine calling. And I understand that. But I also understand the divine calling of someone else whose situation is totally different than mine. So again, the unity, the respect. Don't be afraid to be yourself, because you should have a voice. A lot of things, it's a little pet peeve of mine that I must share. You do not become spiritual to become anybody's sheep. That's not what it's about. You become spiritual to use your intelligence, your intuition, and to live your life in a manner that suits you. This is not a ticket to turn around and do whatever you want. You are a fraud if you do that. And I'm sorry if people get offended. I don't mean it that way, because I look at my own imperfections as well. And I turn around and say, well, if I do this, this is not cool. Or this could be the coolest. What I am just simply saying is that if you are on this path and you are genuine, everything about your being will push that forward. You will be able to separate what is really going on in your own reality and in your own space, and live your life productively on the level of abundance that is fit for you. If you're looking for $10 million in a bag because you're spiritual, that's not happening. If you're looking just to exploit sexuality, that's going to booby trap. If you're looking to go within yourself and understand the authentic self and live your life that is conducive to yourself, you're on something. Because it's not what other people say. It's your example of how you live your life. And whatever that contribution is, you know that it's worth something, because it's not shrouded in any manipulation. So I had to bring that point up, because I will be writing about that in 2016. And that is not a judgment or a lash. I'm saying, own yourself. Don't go by what I say. If you want to take this journey, you have to open up the first door within yourself. Then the information, the guidance, and also looking at the things that keep you from growing will begin to bubble up. And I'll use bubble up for a better word. And you will be able to filter this and understand divine essence of self. And that's really where I'm heading in 2016.
This is where we take all that we have experienced so far and bring it forth, all the things we have learned, and all that we have become, because we're ever evolving. So you know, we talked about this I think at the beginning of the video, and we talked about this before we went live, that, you know, the book, you know, that we are both working on. You're working on yours, and I'm working on mine. And the intent for them, my first book was meant to be an introduction to the second book. Well, so much has happened, you know, since that. Now the direction is taken on a whole new level of things, and it's going to be quite different. And this is about allowing ourselves to evolve and allowing ourselves to move and expand and shapeshift, if you know, if you will. And this is where we allow. And I can't sit here and expect, you know, the people in the world around me to remain the same every single day. I have to allow the world and the people around me to also expand and evolve and become what it's meant to become. And this is about the growth together, and so much more deeper meaning has come about in this next book. That, and so taking on everything that, I'm definitely not the same person that I was when you and I did our last video, and neither are you. We have been through a lifetime of experiences since,
Yes.
and
Many.
And it's been a wonderful ride, actually. And when you talk about, when you talk about abundance, it is about literally being in the moment and just being in gratitude for all that is, just is. This is a beautiful world. This is a beautiful universe. We are beautiful beings, and everything that we have is a blessing, a gift. And even the if we're having a challenging time at the moment, it is a gift. And believe me, I've been through some really difficult ones that I really do want to live again, but it was a gift, because it really opened me up. It woke me up, and I am completely different. And in my opinion of myself, I am so much wiser and better today and stronger than I was then. And I am so grateful for all of those experiences that I had, where I really just, wanted to, bury my head in the sand and just not deal with the world. I wanted to just, turn out the lights and hide, from the rest of the world, and just not go anymore, because I just couldn't take it, because it was intense. But I'm so glad for those experiences, because the wisdom that came with them, and the experience, and what it taught me about myself, and what it reminded me about myself, then it changed everything.
If I may say so, I think what happened is you allowed love to grow inside of you, despite the shallowness of the water at the time. And then once the water started to seep in, the seed was able to grow. And then you discern between the past, the present, and how you live your life in that moment. And you're right, abundance is many things. Unfortunately, we always exchange it in the money sector, and that's really not the abundance that we're speaking of. This is a complete transformation of going back to your authentic self. And when you are in your authentic self, there are no veils. You don't have to hide. I tell people, I understand it could be very difficult, because we all want to fit in. But then you have to look and say, well, what am I fitting into? Am I fitting into something that I could be totally myself, or am I forcing this because of other things? And it is a total freedom, because you naturally know how to act, you naturally know how to respond, and that's a good thing, because intelligence, because I'm all about the intelligence in the spirituality and the feeling. I don't deny that we shouldn't have feelings. You cannot be in perpetual love and never have a dislike. The key is, how do you balance all this together and say, I can do this. I'm comfortable doing this, because I know that I have the strength to face it. And that really, it's a whole factor that goes into it. And each individual is different, but what we all share as a commonality is the same emotions. Everyone has a like, everything has a dislike. Everyone has a dislike. Everyone, can go to the extreme. The key is the balance. And instead of, like you said, having this conception that the divine feminine is two separate entities, it's not. The Elohim, which is God, has a female counterpart within, and they merge together, they dance. When they're at friction together, they tip the balance. So when we learn this, everything comes back, because everybody's looking for sacred sexuality to have the divine organ, the divine climax. However, it's a different climax that you're talking about. It's an energy surge that connects you. And that's another thing we'll get into in 2016, but it's very deep, and it connects the source of creation. So some people will like it, some people won't. That's not for us to beat into an individual. We are individuals who, as I said before, became spiritual explorers, and we chose the betterment. That does not mean that we do not spot master manipulators, because we do, and quite easily. And just because we're nice does not mean that if you have a direct conversation with us, that, you know, we are not going to say what we feel. And I think once people respect this and understand this and streamline, and why people, you know, as you mentioned before, some of us do grid work, some of us do human soul work, others perpetuate different things. Why we all come together? Because the martial arts are involved with this. Yoga is involved with this. There are so many things, but one thing that can easily happen is distortion if we're not in awareness. Because I have seen some of us amongst our community that they're untouchable. Stop it. You're not untouchable. You're a human being as well. Have respect for someone else. And it's not being disrespectful. It's calling it. And if you have to call me, that's cool too. I understand that. But I'm not going to look to hurt you, or I'm not going to look to slander you. This is what it is, and you move on. So that's really very interesting. And they'll probably call me this Howard Stern of spirituality, but I will bring it up in 2016 because I am for the betterment of humanity. I feel as you do. This earth is beautiful. We were meant here to have an experience. Unfortunately, the divine connection was severed. It was lost, I should say, not severed, because severed seems so severe. It is for anybody who wants to seek it. Now you have to start seeking in an intelligent way.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about you anyway, because you just say it how is that's just why I love you. And Tobias
I love
Lars,
you too.
Tobias is just like that. He just kind of puts it out there, and he's a little bit too rough for some people, I guess, but I love and adore.
Are you trying to say I'm too rough?
No, I just like the honesty, and it's raw, and that's refreshing to me, because I tend, and I will admit that this is one of my things that I got to work on. But I tend to try to be careful and cautious with what I say, because I don't want to hurt feelers out there. But it's not about hurting feelings. It is about, if it doesn't resonate, then just move right along. And that's why I, appreciate, everyone that I work with on these videos, especially this month, is that everyone has a beautiful way of expressing, and it is about taking what has fed us in this and going on with it, but not to shut out somebody completely. Like there are some people out there that have YouTube channels and stuff, and I do recommend them to some of my clients. I say, just listen to everybody. Not everyone you're going to resonate with, not everyone you're going to agree with. That's fine, but they all have a little bit of something that will, open you up, that will get you to think. And that's the purpose of it. It's take what, we all have some form of a purpose. So not everyone's going to resonate with me, but I know that I do say some things that kind of spark something within them that gets them to think and open up a bit. And that's the purpose of it, is not to set that judgment and then shut something or someone completely out. Take what there is in there for you. Take what you can learn from what is being said, and then move on. And you could still disagree with me or whatever. But I, if there was just one thing that I said all day, that actually resonates with you, or that actually, you know, you're like, wow, you're right about that, well then great, because you know that's what it's about. And so that's why I love the colorful blend of the most beautiful beings like yourself and all the people that I've been doing videos with. Every one of them is different. And this is to show everyone out there who do, you know, watch this video, whether you are one of my YouTube subscribers or not. Everybody comes across the video and just watches it. They don't have to subscribe. And, but, you know, it's for, I'm wanting to put different people out there, so that you know that there is a beautiful meld of different individuals out there that I know that somebody is going to resonate with. Many people will resonate with many of the people that I, you know, did videos with. So this is about us working together. And, you know, just because I say or do things one way and you do things another, or say things in another way, or what have you, and that goes with everybody else, it does not mean that we are not in alignment with this purpose, and that we do come into alignment with each other to work together. And no egos are allowed in this club, right?
No egos,
So,
because I learn every day. And there are many of my spiritual brothers and sisters who are out there, and they are genuinely doing amazing things. And there are things that they will say that jars in me as well. So this is not a one-way street. This is an intelligent street, because if I have my choice, I am going to use intelligence along with feelings, then ignorance and hatred to justify myself, because I don't do that. I could take it. I could own it. I could say it and I could own it. You should hear some of the conversations with my children. And I'm very lucky for that, because when I look back and I say, wow, after all these years, the first person that's getting the phone call is me. And it's not to just for savior. What do you think of this? This is what I'm feeling. You know, some of the things my kids tell me, I'm like, okay, you know, because it's a privilege, and I mean it in the most endearing way, because it's a privilege that you would share your personal life with the woman who birthed you and not be ashamed. Because kids do that. I remember I wouldn't tell my mother certain things, you know. And you could have an open and honest dialogue. And then when I look, I say, okay, the spiritual journey that provided this steadiness and this harmony for me after much chaos, because nobody lives, I didn't live a life that didn't come with chaos. But now we're steady. That's an amazing gift. That's a privilege when one of your nearest and dearest say, we come to you for comfort, because although you're straightforward, you're not swinging a pendulum. And that's very important for the human element. So I'm with you 100%, you magic unicorn, you know?
That's right. That's right.
I know that. So yes, it's very interesting how, although the journey is different, how the principle and the foundation remain the same. And it's almost 2 years, like you said, since we have done a video together, but the chemistry and the rhythm is there, because the intelligence and the open-heartedness is there, and there's no pretenses. And that's pretty cool, because we went through a lot together. And we see the transformation. And you know, it was not overnight, guys, but it does happen. And that's the key thing, because we were always this person, but conditioning, fear, whatever, might have locked us up a little bit. So to be able to articulate it in a way that makes sense, because we're living everyday life, that's a wonderful thing. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason, you know, we do what we're doing or talk about what we're talking about, especially today, is because there are a lot of things coming forth that everyone's going to start feeling a lot of more changes, a lot more miraculous things, and some of it's going to be pretty intense, not in a negative way, but it's going to be pretty intense. You know, we've been through some intense energy shiftings in the last couple of months, you know, September, October, and now through December. It's very highly intense for a lot of people, and we're going to get a lot more of that this year. A lot of amazing things are going to happen this year, so it's a matter of being mindful of it and just kind of allowing it. And when you do that, then yeah, allowing it is about, you know, relaxing and letting go. Don't feel the need to resist, and because it'll go smoother, and you'll actually see it for what it really is, which is a blessing, which is miraculous, which is magic, and it's about allowing yourself to let go of those things that are no longer serving you, that we've been holding on to and kept ourselves attached to for far too long. And it's about time to celebrate and start actually having some fun. We haven't had a lot of fun, and it's about people relaxing and letting go and going out and just having a good laugh, enjoying things. Turn off the damn TV and stop watching the fear porn, and go and have a good time. Get together with friends and raise your vibration and do some fun things and enjoy this life, because you know what, that catapults you into the next level, that catapults you to the next phase, and it actually it cuts out the middleman, which is linear time. So if you've been waiting and waiting for something, well, that linear time, you know, because of fear and resistance and everything, that's linear time. That's how I like to describe it now. So when you finally just allow and just go and have fun and be in gratitude for everything that just is in the now moment, that catapults you, cuts out that middleman, that time, and then before you know it, you're on into better things already.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
It's powerful. It's powerful, and it really does work.
Powerful. It does work. It really is trust and faith. And it really is allowing yourself the opportunity for freedom of the soul. Hasn't it been an hour already, Rose?
I know. I know. It's just like we just picked it up from yesterday, though, right?
I'm very honored that we had the opportunity to share. I would like to do a few more as time goes on. Just to really just get together and just really enlighten other people with the information and see where it goes. I'll probably be in trouble by mid-2016 once I start writing what I've discovered. So, you know, maybe we should do that beforehand. No, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing.
So, you know, no, I do definitely feel like now things have shifted for both of us again, that we will both be able to do some more videos and do some more unity work, and just get out there and to assist everyone that we can. I know that we had a nice following, and I think that a lot of them were really excited to see that we were going to do this today, and so I really, 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 really am so grateful that you agreed to do this with me today.
I'm very honored. It really is something that when the timing and divine intervention steps in, you cannot stop. It just flows and it happens, and it really just goes the way it should.
Well, Theresa, so in lieu of that, after everything that is said and done today in this past hour, I want you to go ahead and say one last thing before we go, and also give any contact information, and I will have Theresa's information at the bottom of this video too, so that you can reach out to her. So go ahead, Theresa. What have you got to say?
I can't stress enough that on the spiritual journey, it's before you become part of any collective, you must embrace your own individuality. Use intelligence along the way. Take any information that you get and expand on that. Sometimes in higher consciousness, what doesn't make sense to someone else makes sense totally to you. Learn to take that information and streamline it in a way that coincides with the life that you live. By simply allowing and being, the answers come. Sometimes when you cloud yourself, then you get a little bit confused. So just be, relax, and just keep working on your inner self, and the answers will come. They'll come. They might not come in the way you think they will come, but they will come. And in 2016, I will be writing more about the bridge between the divine and human nature. And I will be going deeper into self. And this is an exercise that I have been experimenting with for the last year. And all the information that I have recorded, I will be articulating it in simple terminology for a better understanding, because this information is to be applied to an individual's life, not just one scenario, because everybody has different scenarios that are going on. So we'll take it from there and we'll see how it goes. And you can reach me on Facebook. You can message me and I will get back to you. I have taken a little bit of a hiatus over the last year because I totally went into myself. So I continued my writing and I continued private sessions in my own local area, but now I will be expanding more. And as that information filters through, then it will become available to the population.
Yay! We can't wait to see what you're going to be doing. So I do agree with that. So what I will say to everyone is the same thing. Give yourself some compassion and give yourself some grace, and do some inner work and do some self-love and learn to go within and accept yourself exactly the way you are. Everything in your life is happening in divine order. Don't be in such a rush and don't be impatient with yourself. And, you know, feeling that you're just not getting it or you're just not getting anywhere. And because everything, again, is in divine order, you are in the place that you're at for a reason, but it's not for long. And you are doing great things. So know and believe that you are totally an amazing being. And Theresa and I love you very much. Yes. And you know what I do? I do intuitive oracle and tarot reading, so you can get a hold of me. And I on my webpage, which is right here at the bar, right below. It'll also be in the About section. I also do, a lot of things, a plethora of things. And if you go to my website, you'll see. But a lot of you are familiar already with what I do. And with that said, Theresa and I will be doing another video again soon. But for now, we thank you for joining us. And we love you so very much. And have a beautiful, beautiful day. And happy holidays to everyone. Aloha. Mwah. Namaste.
Namaste.